Welcome to Chuck E. Cheese headquarters, where kids make the rules.
Do arcade games, lovable characters, and pizza sound like a winning combination? Nolan Bushnell, the founder of Atari, thought so. Chuck E. Cheese is known far and wide as a fun place for kids to hang out, so it's time to dive into the secrets surrounding this pizza-loving mouse. Here are the top 10 untold truths about Chuck E. Cheese.
Lo and behold.
Breaking records at Chuck E. Cheese.
Inconceivable!
As you probably know, Chuck E. Cheese is known for all the fun kids can have as they enjoy pizza, arcade games, and other activities. One of these activities is birthday parties. Chuck E. Cheese gets a lot of its business from hosting birthday parties for kids of all ages. Kids like to make noise, which means they like to blow as hard as they can on the noisemakers called party blowers. Since Chuck E. Cheese often has a lot of kids on hand anyway, the company decided to take things to the next level and go for the world record. Guinness got involved in 2017 to make sure it would be an officially sanctioned record attempt. The record-breaking party was scheduled to be a part of Chuck E. Cheese's 40th anniversary celebration. The event took place at all 550 US and Canadian locations. This event required some planning because to break the record, they needed to get more than 6,000 kids together at the same time to wail on the party blowers for at least 10 seconds, all at the same time. Mission accomplished. Chuck E. Cheese is currently the Guinness Book of Records holder in the fun-loving category. This recognition hasn't slowed down the party in one bit, as a lot of birthday parties are held at the hundreds of Chuck E. Cheese locations every day.
At Chuck E. Cheese, kids really know how to birthday!
Send in the animatronics.
Would you like us to sing you a special song?
Hell no.
You got it.
Kids love these animatronic characters because they are fun and larger than life. But the founders of Chuck E. Cheese had much more practical reasons for championing the robotic animals. Like most things in business, it was the bottom line. These attractions were billed as free to draw in wary parents concerned they would have to shell out pockets of money to have their children entertained.
Shut up and take my money!
There's no doubt it worked. These animatronic characters have always been a very popular part of the Chuck E. Cheese experience. These characters put on different kinds of musical shows at different store locations and do a pretty good job of entertaining children and parents alike, as everyone plays games and eats too much pizza. The band of characters is known as the Pizza Time Players, and although they have thrilled children since 1977, the company decided to break up the band in 2017. A company spokesperson explained that the technology couldn't keep up with today's tech-savvy children. I suppose in an era of smartphones and drones, the clanking animatronic characters do seem a little behind the times.
That does sound weird.
However, there was something charming about these classic characters that microprocessors can't replace. The cartoon versions of these characters live on, but they can't have nearly the immediacy or effectiveness of characters children can touch and interact with.
No. We have no animatronics here. No. Those people are the real miracle workers.
Piñatas and Chuck E. Cheese.
Whack the piñata! Come on!
Bashing piñatas has long been a favorite party game for children and adults alike. Seeing children scramble for the candy and prizes as they explode from the bowels of a colorful paper carcass is the highlight of many children's parties. However, this is not the case at your local Chuck E. Cheese location.
Oh, that's too much, man!
At some point, the powers that be at Chuck E. Cheese decided that swinging a big stick in a group of children is not the safest or sanest way to celebrate a children's birthday. For this reason, traditional piñatas are not allowed at parties, but Chuck E. Cheese will gladly sell you a pull-string variation of a piñata. It doesn't sound like nearly as much fun as the traditional piñata. It seems like the company agrees because they tout their arcade games, tickets, and other activities very prominently and leave the mention of the pull-string piñatas to the end because, let's face it, they're just not as much of a selling point as the classic piñatas. Although some of the fun is gone, this decision does make sense in the confines of a loud restaurant filled with excited, screaming children hopped up on pizza and cake. Does this mean no more pin the tail on the donkey either?
Who's playing pin the tail on the moon maggot?
Say cheese!
Did you just offer me cheese?
This might come as a surprise to many of you, but for some reason, Chuck E. Cheese sells packages of their cheese for individual sale. Is there something unique about the mozzarella the company uses to make its pizza? There's no doubt that mozzarella cheese is a popular food and an essential ingredient of pizza, but it does seem a little bit odd that the company that sells itself as a gaming and party spot for kids wanted to dive into the retail food game. Regardless of the reasons, retailers such as Walmart proudly offer several varieties of Chuck E. Cheese products, including packages of mozzarella string cheese. This seems to be nothing more than an attempt to capitalize on a brand name.
Yeah, well, who gives a damn?
I suppose the irony of a mouse mascot selling cheese to human customers doesn't hurt either. With a lovable mouse marketing the cheese, the company is probably bringing in a sizable hunk of cheddar to enhance its entertainment empire. Chuck E. Cheese must use thousands of pounds of shredded mozzarella to make its pizzas, so I suppose it makes sense for them to sell the cheese as well. No word on whether or not the company will expand into other foods such as pizza sauce or frosting.
Or maybe munchies?
The marvelous Mr. Munch.
Oh, well, that makes more sense.
Despite the strange blonde hairdo,
I can't believe it's not bothered.
Mr. Munch has long been a fan favorite. He is a valued member of Chuck E. Cheese's band. Later, he distinguished himself as the frontman for the band Munch's Make-Believe Band. Not to be confused with Munchie's snack chips from Frito-Lay, Mr. Munch is also the star of an internet show called Musings with Mr. Munch.
Why don't we put icing and candles on pancakes?
He has been associated with Chuck E. Cheese since he appeared at the opening of the company's second store in November 1978. Perhaps his purple persona was inspired by the popular McDonaldland character Grimace. The creators aren't saying. But whatever the inspiration for him, this lovable monster has become a popular character with children of all ages. Unlike the other animatronic characters who are animals, Mr. Munch is a fantastical creature. He's known for scarfing up generous amounts of pizza when he's not on stage with his band or recording his show. Unfortunately, Mr. Munch was retired a few years ago along with the other animatronic characters. This was a loss for Chuck E. Cheese and for the many children who visit the stores.
But now I'm trying to get all of this frosting out of my fur.
The evolution of Chuck.
What's that you say? Those robots evolved all by themselves, you say?
The mouse mascot who gives his name to Kids Pizza and Game Emporium Chuck E. Cheese started life as a rat. You might ask, what's the difference between a mouse and a rat anyway?
I should think it would be obvious, even to a vermin.
This is a good question, and one not really addressed by the company as Chuck went through his evolution over the years. The official backstory of the mechanical mouse is quite elaborate. Chuck doesn't know when his own birthday is, so instead he was inspired to celebrate others' birthdays. He grew up in an orphanage. He started his career singing in pizza restaurants in New York City after winning an Atari Pong tournament. With his friend Pasquale, Chuck moved to California where they started a restaurant of their own. Pasquale became a renowned pizza chef while Chuck formed a band. Along with other band members, the pair performed a stage act. However, Chuck E. Cheese's favorite and most important job is to host children's birthday parties, which places the mouse in very high demand. Chuck's appearance has changed over the years. He has morphed from a streetwise rat with a New York accent into a lovable, cartoonish mouse. This friendlier version of a rodent is definitely the right choice to sell fun and pizza to children of all stripes.
Pizza, pizza, going tummy, me so hungry, me so hungry.
Nick Jonas loves pizza.
We interrupt our program of the Jonas Brothers and their orchestra to bring you a special bulletin.
Nick Jonas is a successful singer, songwriter, and actor. He has been a key part of the Jonas Brothers musical group with brothers Kevin and Joe. The talented trio released its first album, It's About Time, in 2006. The three brothers gained more fame through their association with the Disney Channel. There's no doubt Nick Jonas has an impressive resume, but he did some early work for a mouse not named Mickey. A young and adorable Nick Jonas can be seen in an old Chuck E. Cheese commercial that can be viewed at your leisure on YouTube.
Well, well, well.
Good evening, Mr. Nick.
Young Nick Jonas displays a lot of enthusiasm and energy as he romps around a restaurant filled with kids seemingly competing to have the most fun they can. The young, soon-to-be star appeared in at least 2 Chuck E. Cheese commercials, along with Chuck. The famous cartoon mouse is seen extolling all the fun possibilities the kids have to choose from. These commercials definitely highlight the games and activities over the food items, which can only be glimpsed at the edge of shots of blinking and whirling arcade games. Do you think Nick has happy memories of his time as a kid, paid to be part of Chuck E. Cheese's world? Entertainers have definitely been involved with much more embarrassing projects that helped launch their entertainment careers. The soon-to-be star probably had a good time hanging out with Chuck and eating too much pizza.
That was fun.
The 6 million ticket mouse.
We have the technology.
The tickets are a big deal at Chuck E. Cheese. Kids love them. They are a form of kid-friendly currency that the tykes can accumulate for all kinds of cool prizes. You need to earn a minimum of 22 tickets to collect any prizes. But to be a success at Chuck's, you want to gather many more than just 22. One of the best ways to get some free tickets is to camp out for the Chuck E. Cheese appearances that happen about every 30 minutes. This mascot mouse performs his signature dance, then throws a pawful of tickets into the air. But beware, kids will scramble for these tickets with reckless abandon, and could cause more mayhem than when they were swinging sticks at piñatas. With help from their parents, kids can fill out and submit what's called incentive sheets for things like completing their chores and reading books.
Reading rainbow.
These sheets are easy to complete and worth about 10 tickets each. Another quick trick is to keep your receipts, because sometimes you'll be offered as many as 100 tickets just for filling out a survey. Probably the biggest single opportunity kids have for tickets is at the famous birthday party celebrations. As part of the festivities, kids can experience what's known as the Ticket Blaster. Each child goes into this plastic booth where tickets are floating around inside for the taking. This is a kid's dream come true and would be a cool highlight to any birthday party.
Dude! Everybody left an hour ago!
Pizza, the logical choice.
Most illogical reaction.
Chuck E. Cheese founder Nolan Bushnell was a fairly practical man. As a businessman, he wanted a surefire way to make both children and adults happy. Naturally, the answer was pizza. As the founder explained, pizza is hard to screw up.
Pineapple. Ugh.
So much for that.
Cheese, sauce, and bread are delicious ingredients that most of us like. Even mediocre pizza is usually worth eating because, let's face it, bread, sauce, cheese, and toppings are just a winning combination. The myriad of mom-and-pop pizza shops, as well as international chains, are testaments to the enduring popularity of pizza. Chuck E. Cheese's site boasts about its pizza and focuses on the fresh-made dough that is made with flour and 80-degree water. Cheese is important at Chuck E. Cheese, so the company only uses fresh mozzarella on all the pizzas. The ovens are set at 500 degrees, the perfect temperature to bake a delicious golden brown pizza pie. Not surprisingly, pepperoni pizzas are the fan favorite at Chuck E. Cheese for both kids and parents, and the classic cheese comes in a close second. Like many restaurants today, these restaurants offer a gluten-free pizza option for customers with this food sensitivity. For customers looking for healthier fare than pizza, there is the option of an endless salad bar, but this doesn't seem like a very fun meal to pair with video games, does it?
It's so bad.
Pong and Pizza.
Shall we play a game?
Oh.
Even if you are not a fan of Chuck E. Cheese, you're likely a fan of video games. If this is the case, then you have Nolan Bushnell to thank for their tremendous popularity. He is the founder of Atari as well, putting video games into people's homes. Back in the 1970s, Bushnell conceived of Chuck E. Cheese restaurants as a way to get kids to play with his Atari video games. Until he came up with a way to use the games in his own store, he was selling the arcade games to other retailers. Mr. Bushnell's move into the market was a smart model that lured kids in with pizza and fun animatronic characters that sang and danced.
Is this game popular with autistic people?
Why would you say something like that?
Because I'm starting to love it.
When Chuck E. Cheese needed to file bankruptcy in 1984, the company company was snatched up by its competitor, Showbiz Pizza Place. However, by 1992, Showbiz had decided to unify the companies under the Chuck E. Cheese brand. There are now more than 500 locations for kids to enjoy, so that's a lot of pizza and a lot of tickets. Mr. Bushnell told people that he had always wanted to work for the Walt Disney Company, but he had been turned down for employment several times early in his career. With Chuck E. Cheese, he delivered his own brand of kid-friendly fun that is still popular with kids and parents alike.
Maybe one day in the future we will open a Chuck E. Cheese's on the moon.
Order up more by staying right here. Just tap on our next great video. And show us some love by hitting that subscribe button and ringing that bell to join our notification squad so you never miss out.